Hi, I'm Kelly Parks of Calm Waters Cloud Accounting, and I use Financial Sense to run my bookkeeping business. I wanted to chat with you today about setting up Financial Sense, how you can get started in it, and create a much more seamless and robust experience to get up and running in Financial Sense. In addition to being a bookkeeper, I also do some implementation work for accounting professionals on applications such as Financial Sense. So that's why I decided it'd be a good idea to get this video going for you. I want everybody to love Financial Sense as much as I do, and setting it up correctly in the first place is one of the best ways to do that. I created a workflow within Financial Sense that you can add to a test client to work your way through the steps and stages of getting set up in Financial Sense. So in addition to this video, you can grab the workflow and import it into your own Financial Sense. So the very first thing that I would say is to join the Financial Sense Facebook community group. It's an awesome group. When you open up, I have given you a link to the Financial Sense, and I have given you a link to a Facebook group that I have called the Workflow Watering Hole, which is all about products like Financial Sense, workflow, efficiency, and all the like for accounting professionals in particular. What I want you to note is that when you open that, you saw that there were some live links that would take you to those Facebook groups. And right here, this three line stack, that means that there is a description in a workflow. So there may be more information, and that indicates that you need to open up that task to see them. Right here, where you see checklists, that means that there are subtasks to be completed in it. There is a video of the Financial Sense overview in there, but one of the key things is to set up your settings in the first place. When you go to set up your settings, you can put in a photo if you choose. I also would like to mention that you can turn any email into a project. So you send them to projects@mail.financialsense.com. Attachments will come over and clean out any of the copy and the junk that you don't need. When you bring those in, you will need to assign a client once you are back in Financial Sense. Two-factor authorization, I highly recommend, more than highly recommend, that you enable two-factor authorization, and then your password. You can get to notifications a number of ways. One of the ways to get to notifications is here as well. In the beginning, while you're building trust up in Financial Sense, you're going to want to probably have some notifications on. Once you have built up that trust, I recommend that you undo all of these notifications and you start to work each and every day in Financial Sense, not from your email. Any work that you have to do is going to be up here in the notification button. You can also check back on things that you have checked off in here. And this is where I like to work from. It is self-defeating to try and manage your email by not having too many emails come in and using a program like Financial Sense to manage your tasks, and then have the task manager send emails into your email. What you're doing then is you're dealing with emails in two places and notifications. So turn off whatever it is you don't think you need. Occasionally, if I am in the middle of a project with a client and I'm waiting for something, I'm not prone to the bookkeeper booty call. I work on a client when I'm ready to work on a client. But sometimes there is urgency to a project, and perhaps you are waiting and you're just pecking away at other things until the client gets something to you. In that case, I may actually tick those off. I would come back in and untick them though. Setting up your settings, adding users. So let's add some users. Go to users, go to invite, and peck in the information that you want. You will make them a different kind of user. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. You can set user permissions overall. Owners have the ability to do everything. Admins, you can take out the things that you want to take out and add back in. Same with members. This is universal though. So if you're going to bring in an admin, this is universal to everybody who's an admin. And these are universal to everybody who is a member. So make sure that when you are setting up your Financial Sense that you go in and decide what user permissions you want. Create a few test clients. So now we want to create a few test clients, and that looks like this. Go into here, add a test client. You can upload from a spreadsheet, you can integrate with QuickBooks Online, or you can manually enter the information. I highly recommend, before you go to upload a spreadsheet, set your custom fields, because you can then, so get your test client going, implement your custom fields in your test client. And then when you go to, you're ready to import all your clients, download the CSV of that client, and now you'll have a template for what it is that you can add in seamlessly for all your clients. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. So in here, I've given you a list, add the contacts, all of these things that you can do, test drive a few clients so you can see what relationships look like, and then set up client users and assign yourself as a user in your test clients. Organize your clients into groups and store unique data with custom fields. Let's take a look at custom fields for a second. We're going to go to this test client, and over here I have some custom fields. Custom fields I would use for the information that's going to be static across all your clients. You are going to want to know the entity type for each and every one of them, perhaps their incorporation date, what their HST, that's a sales tax up here, HST is, their business number, fiscal year end, what they're using for their accounting outside, and who is doing some of the filing. You can add new fields. There is a difference though between creating custom fields and using notes. Notes is something that I would have where you want information that's going to be unique to each and every client. So this is not this information, because if you add too many custom fields, it's going to start to take up a lot of real estate down the side here, and it's not relative to every single client. So this will be relative to every client. In here will be information related to, let's say, family life, or partnership information, specific information about their applications. That's the kind of thing you want to have in the notes. You can search them, and I recommend that you do pay very special attention to naming conventions so that it's easy to search them in here as well. When you're in the client, there is a client vault. This is fake information, by the way. But in there, you would have the username, the password, what their information is relating to security questions, and a link that takes you through to it. It looks like this. So one of the things that I love, an example for us is here in Canada, we have workers' compensation. I have my clients' worker compensation links and data to get into there very quickly. You may want it for some of their outside applications. Skip the dishes, Stripe accounts, all those kinds of things are the things that I would put into Client Vault. Activity just tracks everything that's been going on, and here you can add in various notes and things that you want to talk about with your team. Live links, the last time you talked to them, how they're feeling, time tracking billing. It's going to give you all kinds of information in here. So that's the stuff that you would put into your client page. I call it a page. As well, you can have relationships. So you can add as a contact in Financial Sense, maybe some lawyers and some accountants if you don't do taxes, and you can set them up so that you have relationships in here. Perhaps it's related companies, perhaps it's individuals within the corporation. So one of mine has 2 partnerships. I have both of them in here in relationships so that I can send communications out to them, and both of them can get those tasks completed. Okay, if you are in here, one of the things that I really recommend, I'm using the word recommend all the time. One of the things that I think you should do, let's change it up a little here. one of the things that I think you should do is test drive the client tasks. See what that user experience feels like to be the client, and make sure that you are making it as seamless as possible, that you're putting in clear and concise instructions so that you are making it easy for them to do what you want them to do. If you want them to upload somewhere other than somewhere Financial Sense, make sure you put in an upload link. You can add live links, and see what it feels like to participate in the client chat. It's very important that you work out the bugs and that you understand the client experience before you roll it out to your clients. Creating dashboard views. Dashboard views. Let's go to dashboard views, shall we, Kelly? And I'm back. Sorry for the hiccup. Okay, in the dashboard view, you can set up all kinds of filters so that you can see what you want. Assignees, you can set up client groups. So if you have interrelated companies, you can set them up as a client group and then you can view them. If you want to set it up as monthly bookkeeping, personal tax clients, maybe quarterly bookkeeping, maybe you do file reviews, create a group for file reviews, whatever the case may be, create the client groups. And then when you're in here, you can create a view. When you set up your filters, you can actually then go ahead and create a view that you can go to fairly quickly. So this would be some of the views that I have. So you can set custom views so that all you need to do is go into here and you're all set to go. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is test drive time tracking. Time tracking can be activated from here. You can start it in two different ways. So you can add an entry, you can start a timer, and then you can assign it to a client. You can put in the billable rate. There's all kinds of things that you can do with the time tracking. I've given you a list and a video to see how that's going to work for you. So let's go in and see what that looks like. So in here, again, I've set up some videos for you to go directly to. You can then send the time tracking entries over to QuickBooks if you do the QuickBooks integration with Financial Sense. And then these are the ways that I would go ahead. What I really want you to make sure that you do, though, is that every time that you do some of these things, so for me, when I'm test driving a project or an application, I always use the word test for everything. That way, it's a trigger for me that I need to go ahead and delete those things that are in there. So make sure that you delete the QBO time entries if you do integrate it. Okay. Practice forwarding emails into Financial Sense. This is fun. So as I mentioned right at the beginning, you can send emails over and you can turn the emails into projects. You can send over attachments and then make sure that you clean up the email before it goes over so you don't have too much information in it. The information will come into the description area and then you can start to add some tasks to it to make sure that you get it done. This is another way to get stuff out of your email. So send it over to projects@financialsense.com. Then you've got it in Financial Sense and you're ready to go to remind yourself to get that work done. Once it's in there, you can do all of the usual things. So you can set due dates, you can set start dates, you can have dependencies, you can add tasks, you can assign it to people, you can assign it to clients, whatever it is you need to get done. Financial Sense has templates for your workflows. It is very, very important. I mentioned this earlier in the video. It's super important to come up with naming conventions so that you can organize what it looks like. Bookkeeping and then client name. My clients don't mind that you know they're my clients. You're not seeing anything you shouldn't see. So bookkeeping and then what is their tech stack, or is it monthly? Whatever's going to work for you. These are HST workflow type things. Monthly bookkeeping, full cycle, master copy. Super important so that you know that you do not get rid of this one. Monthly bookkeeping. This is cash coding, master copy. No payroll, no AP, and away you go. Trial balance. So you can see I sell Financial Sense templates. So feel free to go to my website. That is saasy.coach. and go to my template page, and I sell templates for Financial Sense as well. And I've named them so that I can see what they are. Onboarding, and then project work. So make sure that you name them in a manner that makes sense and that they're searchable and findable. Never scroll through like I just did to find your templates. Use predictive type for everything. Again, this is why I said it's super important to use naming conventions. Once you get a lot of templates in here, you are going to want to use naming conventions, search in here, and make it a seamless experience for yourself. Now we're going to talk about client tasks. I did say to test drive them on yourself. Let's make a client task. We're going to call it test because that's always fun. You can add a description, including put in some sort of live link. So let's see what it looks like to put in a link. We're going to put in a link. We're going to make that a live one. We're going to save that. You can put in as much description as you want to make sure that you're making it seamless for the client to do. You can add a due date. You can add some attachments. You can chat with your clients. Hope your day is great. So we'll send that off. We're going to manage notifications in here. Get started. And you can see when I said add contacts. So any contacts that you add into the client will show up here, and you can choose who to send the notifications to. They will go out to everybody that you check off in here. It's not an if or to send out one task to somebody and another task to another person. You can set a start date, number of days between reminders. So auto nagging, who doesn't love auto nagging? You can preview what it is going to look like. There you go. That's what it's going to look like. Let's close it. And away you go. You can send a notification right now, and that starts the entire process. So now we're in a test client. Let's take a look at some comments that you can go ahead and make. We're going to go back to the list view. So these are all the tasks that you need to accomplish, but you can use a board view too. So some people really like to use a board view. Go ahead and use a board view, and then the magic is it will check those off when you are sliding things over. If you are in the very, very bad habit of doing all of your checklists at the end, which of course can cause lots of slips and slides, it is possible to check off all your tasks at once. And when you are in a task, you can also mark all of the tasks as completed. Bad policy, this one not so much because you're seeing them all and you're seeing the descriptions. This is a bad habit to get into, but I'm not going to say that it doesn't happen sometimes. So again, board view is super fun. Okay, so we're back into the workflow, and we've got our list view. There is also calendar view. And when you're in list view, you also have project view and task view. So you can view all of the tasks that you need to do. Let's go back to project view. There you go. Now we're going to take a look at sorry, I had a blip there. I moved. So that was pretty funny. Now we are going to take a look at what you can do when you are actually in the tasks and how you edit the workflows themselves. They're called projects. You can move them manually here. You can set a due date. You can duplicate the task. You can put it on hold, assign workers to it, start the timer, set budgeted time. This is where you're going to get your reports on what's happening, and add reminders, and of course, delete the task. Adding budgeted time is very cool because you can add budgeted time overall. So let's just edit the template. You can set an overall time and a billing rate. You can add services. You can add reviewers. You can make them recurring in a number of different ways. Do not make anything recurring until you have set it up and test driven it, probably for a few months, to make sure that you've got it on the schedule that you want to have it on, and that you have everything laid out precisely the way that you want it. Otherwise, you're going to be undoing it in the project page per project page, although you can delete a bunch at once. Just take my word for it. Don't make anything recurring until you've got it set the way you want, especially client tasks. Make sure that those are going out to your client in a seamless manner as well. Start date, due date, internal due date. So let's say that HST for us is due on the 31st, not in my world. I like to have it out to my client on the 15th. Optional date due extension. So for a lot of you crazy American tax types, this would be super useful. Who it's assigned to, what the client is. So those are the things that you can do with it. Billing rate. And then in here, you can set a budget for the time for the overall project so that you've set the expectations for you and your team, and you can identify if the problem is scope of work, if the team member needs more training, if the project itself has some hiccups in the technology, whatever the case may be. And then you can add time in here. So I like to add time in the tasks when I'm first taking on a client, because let's say I think reconciling should take 10 minutes and it's taking half an hour. Is it because I didn't spend enough time in the bank feeds, whatever the case may be? So you can break down your time budget in here, and then that's going to show up in the reporting. I'm not going to dive into the reporting today. That's something that you're going to need to test drive for yourself. There are a lot of reports in there, though, in terms of client work, teamwork, time budgeting, and make use of those reports. Okay, so now we're into the final stretch. It is time to delete all the test projects and all but one test client. You can do that in bulk. Then you need to go and actually take out your trash. Just get rid of all the garbage that's in there, all the stuff that you don't need. Keep it clean, and keep it clean in real time. Make sure you're checking your notifications in the day. Make sure you're closing your projects in a timely manner. Make sure you're deleting things you don't need, and you're taking out the trash. It's way easier to stay caught up than to get caught up. So make sure that you're keeping everything neat and tidy, and you won't be nearly as overwhelmed. Now you're going to test drive live client projects until you're sure that they're working the way that you want them to. And so again, I add myself into a few clients as a contact so that I can send myself whatever requests I'm sending to them live, so that I'm experiencing what they're experiencing. I built up faith that they're going out on a schedule that I want them to, and that they feel comfortable and friendly for my clients to interact with. Now add the project templates to your clients, test drive, and then set your recurring schedules. Download your dashboard workflow. Some of you have heard me harp about redundancy for the sake of redundancy. You can actually do a download of your dashboard to a CSV file so that you have another place where you can view what work is being done. I also recommend that you download en masse once you've got your clients set up and all their custom fields are nice and you've got the notes. Download those as well so that you have a secondary source for your client information. And then you get to bask in the glow of a well-oiled machine. So thank you for listening to this. I appreciate you taking the time, and I hope that it really helped you, or is going to help you, get set up and have as great an experience in Financial Sense as I have experienced.